To niche or not to niche? That is the question. Now, you've probably heard a lot about niching. You know, if you want to start a business, you're in the entrepreneur space. And you've probably heard a lot of things like, hey, you should definitely niche, or you shouldn't niche, or you are the niche, or whatever other kind of quip that someone's posted on Twitter. But I'm here to tell you that you absolutely do need to niche. And the reason for that is really simple. And a lot of people don't understand where the word niche comes from. And so, yeah, I thought I'd talk a little bit about that today. So a lot of people don't know, but the word niche is not a business term. It actually comes from biology. And it is the term for the pairing of an animal and its environment. And so what happens is, because of the way that animals adapt to their environment, they're forced to do so in order to specialize and survive. And so, there's a type of butterfly in Russia. It's a white butterfly. Because of the snowy tundra environment, it's white. And, obviously, we see that as kind of, obviously it's white, right? Because it's camouflaging, it's trying not to be eaten. But one thing happened one day where, because of the Industrial Revolution and the factories producing pollution into the environment, like soot and smoke and coal, it painted the landscape black. And in response to that, I think it was within even just a couple of months, the butterflies actually changed color and became black. And you might be thinking, okay, that's great, Sean. What does that have to do with business? Well, the butterflies that didn't turn black were eaten and were killed. And so the only remaining butterflies were the black butterflies. They adapted to their environment. They didn't change species or anything like that. They just had an adaptation. And so it was the butterflies who were the fittest, the most willing to adapt to their environment, that could continue and reproduce. And then that ended up becoming the majority of the butterfly population in Russia at that time. And so it is by the specialization and adaptation to our environment that we are allowed to continue to exist, right? You think about humanity. People are some of the most adaptable things in the universe that we're aware of, right? Like, think about how the terrible things that can happen to some people, and they manage to adapt, that like their psychology can adapt to it. Or physically, how some people are, they consume different diets, or they're raised in different climates, and their body adapts to that. That's where the word niche comes from. So it's the pairing of an animal with an environment, and where that animal is basically finding a specific specialization that it can inhabit. And so what people in business did is they adopted that idea of having a niche to describe the way in which a business specializes and gets really good at basically serving a specific type of client. And so I find that a really useful story and useful context to know, especially when all these conversations are talking about, you are the niche, or whatever that's supposed to mean. Because, you can't, saying you are the niche doesn't really make any sense. You're not specialized to yourself. It is the pairing of you and your business with a certain type of person. And so you are not a niche, but you exist within multiple niches. So for example, I exist within the niche of men in their 20s. I exist within the niche of volleyball players. I exist within the niche of entrepreneurs. I exist within the niche of people who live in the United Kingdom. And so I could pick one of those niches, and I could pick a niche that I exist in, or one that I used to exist in. And that's more accurate to an actual usable strategy. And so, yeah, don't get it confused. Like, you're not the niche, but something that you do, or a a group of people that you exist in can be the niche. And it's less important what niche you pick, and it's more important that you just stick to that niche and you don't quit. But that's a topic for another video. So I hope you found this video useful. If you want to learn how to get your first paying client, how to find your niche and all that kind of stuff, check the first link in the description. And yeah, bye.